Ridiculous. Should we be introducing ourselves each time?
We might as well.
Yeah.
We might as well. So, should I do the welcome?
Do you want to welcome us, Mr. Tech?
Welcome, everyone, to the Grandad and Mr Tech podcast. Sad news this episode. This is the last episode that we're going to be making available for $70. And the next time you hear from us, I'm afraid it's gone up to $80 a podcast. Isn't that right, Grandad?
Yeah, inflation, cost of living. I'm afraid we've had to we've got costs. So unfortunately, that's just what we've got to do, isn't it?
Games are going up in price. Systems are going up in price. Did you see just a couple of days ago that Xbox announced that the Xbox is going up in price?
I did, and PlayStation 5 Digital.
Yes, that's true. That was a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, that was a week or so ago.
Yeah.
I was hoping would spur interest in my second-hand PS5 on eBay, but no one wants it. So if anyone out there listening wants a really well looked after PS5 with a disc edition, very reasonable price. It's about to go up, although not the disc edition, but we'll ignore that. But yeah, what's going on? Digital PS5 going up in price, Xbox going up in price. Game consoles are meant to go down in price. That's what happens.
Yeah.
The beginning of the end of modern gaming. Are you about to be proved right for putting all your faith in retro? What do you reckon? I don't know.
Possibly. I think as we're getting the kind of looming Nintendo Switch 2, I have to ask you, did you change your mind on acquiring the Nintendo Switch 2? Because I know we had quite a bit of a discussion last time, and it was very much kind of left at, you don't really need one. You've got enough consoles. You've got enough games.
Yeah, that was the position, wasn't it? I think that's definitely true.
Yeah.
I was holding firm. I think that is still my position, but this is where it gets tricky. Nintendo, you see, sent me a personal email, my inbox, inviting me to pre-order a Switch 2. I mean, they sent me I'd decided I didn't want one. I didn't need one. I don't need one. But they send me a personal invite. I mean, I can't snub that. It may have even been signed Mario or something. I don't know. But what am I saying here? Yes, I pre-ordered a Switch 2. Woo!
You pre-ordered.
Mario.
That didn't take long, did it? Yeah.
Yes. Get in there. Switch 2 on its way, day one. Yes. Yeah. It was because they sent me an email.
Personal touch. They work.
What a great strategy. Whether they did it as they would probably claim to limit scalping and, dodgy sellers, whether they did it for that reason primarily or not, it just, because I looked around on some of the stores in a casual kind of, I feel smug I didn't cave and pre-order one. I bet they're sold out anyway. Let me have a look and feel smug. And I looked at a couple of websites and they're all sold out. I'm like, knew I shouldn't have tried to pre-order one. Oh, what's this in my email? Oh, thanks, Nintendo.
You will be getting some high gloss Mario Kart World, whatever it's called.
It's going to come. The interesting thing about it is I'm excited for it, but I'm less excited for some of the other stuff now that more news has dribbled out. Like, it seems my hope that any Switch game would just immediately run as 60 frames per second much better just by it being on the Switch seems in doubt, because there's some very strange there's some strange way that the Switch 2 is going to play Switch games or something, that some people were claiming the Switch 2 is emulating Switch 1 games. I don't think that's correct. I think that's a bit of a I think that's a bit of a lie. But there's definitely something going on that suggests it probably won't be a nice clean, just boot it up on Switch 2, it's going to run tons better. They will have these upgrade editions, but what games are going to get them? Some of the lesser games that I want to play, I don't know. So I'm a little bit less excited, but I'm sure Mario Kart World is still going to be amazing. I'm just not sure long term, what am I going to buy on this thing when it's out? Because I really don't fancy spending 70 quid on a game. I mean, I already buy the odd PS5 game for a snip over 50 bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, what hell country am I in? So I don't know, but it's coming. I've had some success selling some of my retro treasures, which is raised some money post pre-order, so it doesn't feel like such a big hit now. And well, that's like a month. What are we today? We are Saturday.
From the date we're recording this, it's not going to be too long, is it?
A month, and that's it.
Yeah. I have heard that there's a list somewhere that there are some Switch games that definitely won't run on Switch 2, or there's a list of compatible games that will. So again, I know that that's something that can be looked into. Whether don't know how much kind of that will cause an issue or not. But yeah, I thought you might break. I did.
You knew I would, didn't you? You
Yeah.
were fairly certain. Yeah.
It has to be.
This list is a bit scary, isn't it? We don't want to see that. I'm just trying to find it here in case. Oh, that's not the list at all. It's just taking me a page to pre-order Donkey Kong. $58.99.
The bargain price of $58.99. Is that digital? Is it?
That's digital. Well, this is the other thing that this was announced in the Direct, but the more I've heard about it since, the more it rankles, which is this digital key card concept that they're doing, where it's not even the game card has basically just got a digital key on it that allows you to download it. And in some ways, this is not that big of a deal. It's quite cool because you can actually still lend the cart, and it lets whoever puts it in their Switch play it. So it's kind of operates like a game on a cart, but I feel like it would be very easy to get very upset with Nintendo over this and claim that they're being a little bit duplicitous, because your average punter that goes in Toys R Us, or what are they bust Toys R Us? Do they still trade?
Yeah, they're bust a long time ago. Toys R Us.
What's the current day toy retail?
The current day gaming shop. Game is still going, just about.
No, I'm thinking, what's like the toy shop that like your gran might be in?
Oh, the Smith's Toys.
Smith's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. That's it. If someone is in there picking up a game, it just feels a bit off that you have the case on the shelf still, and there's a card in it, and it's a bit like a game on it. It's like there's a suggestion of a physical thing, but ultimately you still have to download it. So it's almost worse for trying to look like a physical thing. I don't know. It's just controlling the marketplace, isn't it, and the distribution.
Oh, yeah, definitely, and that's like we said, it's a total control element, and I mean, I don't think it'll be that long that it'll just be a lot of us will be forced into digital only, and there won't even be a choice, maybe in the future. Whether that will happen or not, I can imagine there would still be a bit of uproar around that. But what if one day, yeah, a newer Switch in the far distant future or a new PlayStation, digital is the only option, and that's complete control of the market.
Oh, for sure. I think the PlayStation 6, whenever that arrives, will just be digital only, straight out.
Yeah,
But whether the game console itself as a piece of hardware will even exist a
mhm.
generation after that is remains to be seen. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Let's let's. I think we should get cozy back with some retro stuff, because my other news for you, Grandad, is that I had a minor retro revival.
A minor retro revival.
Oh, I've downplayed it already. I made it sound so great, and I just said it's a minor revival. Yeah, there I was having dinner, and I recharged the PAL Kitty RGB 30. Great little retro handheld. Have you got one of them?
I actually haven't. I have got quite a number of handhelds, but not the Power Kiddie.
This is one of the retro handhelds I've got. Um, Only downside to this thing is that it doesn't really hold a charge at all, which is kind of weird. So if you put it down, I come back to it 2 days later, you have to charge. Anyway, it was charged, and yeah, I just let it sit there while I was having some dinner, and it kicks into its demo mode and just goes into a bit of game of one of the, I don't know how many thousands of things I've loaded it up on there. And I was instantly hit with clip after clip of amazing retro games that had my drawer on the floor, and I was thinking, what the hell is this? I need to try this. So yes, you may be right that retro, at least for this month, I had a retro revival, and that kick-started me. And then after we last spoke about it, I also caved, and I bought myself a Evercade Hyper Mega Tech, the Tato edition,
Yeah,
and
which
a copy of the Thalamus collection, which has, how many has it got? 11 classic C64 Thalamus games on it, and I've got to say, it's really friggin' cool.
there you go.
Great. So yeah, you won this month, I think. Retro won.
Retro's winning this
Yeah.
month, yeah.
I have been enjoying it. It also comes at a time of selling, as I mentioned, to raise funds for the Switch. I sold a load of C64 physical games, some of the last of my collection, and a bit of a wrench, but it reminded me that there's nothing stopping me from playing these things on any number of devices. So I just have done just that, and yeah, wowed all over again by the music in some of these Thalamus games, and having a great time.
And did you find, like we said last time, do you find it's really helpful that it kind of, well, it does very much limit you to those handful of games, so you're not scrolling through thousands and thousands?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an odd thing to do to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of an addicted culture where you have to limit your own choice just to get just to solve the problem of too much choice. Um, but it does work. Yeah, it does work. I think I've been through all the games on the Tato games that inbuilt onto it now.
Mm.
I mean, I haven't played them all for hours, but I think I've dipped into every single one, and I was actually really surprised by how many of them looked really not modern, but they had really good graphics and things. I think because I'd seen it, the likes of Space Invaders was on there. I thought they were going to be all the really, really old ones, but it's made me realize I don't know an awful lot about Tato's output, because you had Space Invaders, which is as crude as it comes, but then there was one game, what was it? I can't remember its name now. There's a game on there that's very much like an RPG type thing, where you're running around and you have HP and you have to kill things to get experience. And I was really shocked, thinking, it's like a little RPG on here. But yeah, it still has a time limit. There's a timer ticking down, because obviously this would have still been a co-op game, a coin-op game, which is a bit of a funny way to do it, because you're playing. Let me find the name of the game very quickly. It was called, I think it might be The Legend of Kage.
I don't think I've even played that one, and I've got the Tato one.
Yeah, boot it up. But yeah, there's some great stuff on here that looks really fresh. Don Doko Don. That was very cool. Liquid Kids. Tato seemed to have a thing about bubbles, whether it's bubble, bobble, or whether it's Liquid Kids where you're firing water bubbles. It was, and I'd never even heard of that. But yeah, these little games got really neat little graphics, and it really pops on the little machine.
That's what I was surprised with, because for the money, so these what is the official title? The Evercade Hyper Megatech Taito Edition handheld console, whatever the
That's it.
yeah title is. They're only £50, like we said last time. They're very affordable. That clearly it's tempted you in, and you bought one. But I was surprised that, whilst I suppose that they're quite bright colors in terms of the packaging, aren't they, on the actual console, but the quality is really good. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the colors do really pop. It's really quite a sharp screen. I mean, for the money, yeah, you're not thinking, oh, actually, this is quite cheap and nasty, and there's some actual proper, yeah, build that's gone into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not. You couldn't say it's on a par with the screen quality of, well, even like the screen that's in like the PAL Kitty, and some of the other retro handhelds, like the ones you've got. I think it's a lower res than that, because I felt the C64 games, they look very good as well, but they're I certainly wouldn't want them any smaller, because I was having to really peer a bit, and I think I would get a little bit tired playing for a long amount of time. But I would agree that, yeah, for the price of it and for the little size, it's a very nice. Yeah, the quality is very nice for what it is and the price, and it as a device that someone would buy that isn't perhaps into, and is never going to be into, the idea of configuring a device and having to put ROMs on, go through all this faff. Just being able to turn it on and then play Bubble Bobble or Operation Wolf or New Zealand Story, which is great. Kadash appears to be this game that's like it's like a kind of a Zelda 2 RPG type thing. Very interesting. And Operation Wolf looked and sounded great on it. God damn, that's hard.
It is hard, isn't it? That's what you realize, and it's not just with this, but whenever you're playing coin-op arcade games many years later, you realize how difficult they were, because of course, thinking back, well, they want they want the younger versions of us putting loads more money into the arcade machines. So they're often very short, and they're often very hard. So whenever I've kind of gone to the end of an arcade game, you realize sometimes there's only 3 or 4 levels of these things. You never ever saw past level 1, or maybe half of level 1 as a kid when you're in the arcades, because they're absolutely rock hard.
Whether Operation Wolf has any more than I think it's 6 levels that are shown on the map.
Yeah.
I've certainly never seen past level 2. When I played it in the arcade, I think they know what they're doing because with a little bit of practice, you can get through level 1 not too bad. And then I found level 2, especially on this device where you're moving your target reticle with the D-pad, which is not as accurate as the actual mounted gun would have been. It was quite hard to keep enough health. Even shoving obviously fake coins in, I'm thinking, I don't know if I can get past this level. This is really sad. I'd like to see level 3, but there is a setting. Am I right? There's a setting which I didn't really understand what it's going to do. There is a setting in the Evercade that lets you put it in easy mode. Is that right?
I think there is, yeah, because this is what I discovered many years later with arcade. So many arcade boards also had difficulty settings. I don't know if it's is it dip switches or there's some
Oh,
technical
okay.
and arcade owners, they'd obviously gauge how many, how much money was coming into these things because I know Double Dragon, the arcade game, quite well. And then I went to an arcade many years ago and it was suddenly, I could barely get past like the third person. It's like, what's going on here? It's got different difficulty settings, so they can ramp it up. I don't know if all arcade boards can do that, but yeah, there's definitely those kind of settings. So I think that's what Evercade is trying to do. Because let's say back in the day, it was designed to, oh yeah, let's make it really hard. Let's get people shoving loads more money in if people are finding it too easy. But you're right. I don't think, without the benefit now of infinite continues, I probably didn't see past any level ones of most games out there unless I put a considerable amount of money into something.
Maybe I'll try flipping it to easy mode at some point just to see, because I would quite like to see the last level of Operation Wolf. I think
Yeah.
really. Also, I had like 3 or 4 games last night, and I don't know what I did. I've never seen this before. I completed level 1, and then it suddenly went to this mode where I wasn't scrolling, but I was just stood there, and then all these helicopters just kept coming at me from the back. Is this like a hidden level or something? Do you know?
Oh, shit. I don't know if I've gone that far. Is that after straight after level one, is it?
Yeah, whether I completed level 1 in a way that unlocked it as like a bonus level, or I may be even misremembering this, but it may have flashed up something like, oh, whoops, the enemy intelligence have found you. And it's like a sudden onslaught that's kind of, I bet that it's the arcade game recognizing that you've done quite well and thinking, hang on a minute, this guy's getting too far in, because I had a really clean level 1.
Yeah.
Was that me beeping again?
That was another funny echoey sound from Mr. Tech.
Text firing off all around here. Yeah, maybe it detected I had a really clean level 1, because I did. I finished level 1 and I was feeling really good because I had a lot of health, hadn't wasted any grenades, and then maybe it was trying to take me down a peg by, you know. But why would it do that? I feel like a good arcade game would definitely need to balance that payment versus reward quite carefully, because if you never let your players see the next level, they're not going to be excited to come back. They're just, what's the point? But that's what I say. Operation Wolf, I felt, was not too bad in that regard when I played it as a kid, because you could get to level 2 and it gave you that hope, like, yeah, I'm getting good at this, and then level 2 just wipes your ass, so to speak.
Yeah. It's a really good thing to do because I had a spell of trying to complete, a lot of these arcade games I did as a kid. But like you said, it's like it's a completely new, fresh game because you've not seen past level one or two, and it's like your eyes have just literally never seen this landscape, any of these enemies. So, it's a really good dive back in to do that because you are unlocking parts of a game you have never seen for 30 odd years. So, but you're right.
Maybe you would have never seen back in the day.
Or never see. Yeah.
Yeah, without emulation,
Yeah.
you would never have seen the later stages of all these arcade games. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. Particularly Ghouls and Ghosts. I mean, seriously, I was trying to calculate how many 10p's, 20p's that game must have taken when I was playing it with obviously infinite credits. You'd have probably put it in like 100 quid or so. I mean, it would be phenomenal unless I'm just a really bad player. But I think even the most hardy of players, yeah, you would be pumping a lot of money into that machine.
Imagine the uproar there would be if games had been invented yesterday but they were on consoles, but they operated in this way that you
I
paid
was just pumping, yeah,
50p, and when it was game over, you have to sit. In the future, I'm sure that's what it'll be. PlayStation 8 will be like, yeah, it's £10 an hour, mate. Give us 10 quid and you can play the game for an hour. Oh, you're out of time.
yeah. But I tell you what's that's kind of happened to me this month because I paid £7.99 for PS Plus, and I played RoboCop on PS5 for about 12 minutes. Haven't returned to it like you asked me to, and I've let the month lapse. So literally, yeah, I've pumped in £8 to play 12 minutes of RoboCop, which was great. But there you go. That's all I've managed to do.
So you're not going to keep your PS Plus?
It's lapsed into this month, so I do need to actually use it again. So yeah, we need to come up with something and yeah, play something. So at least I can have spent 8 quid for some kind of value.
Let's get that high-tech GTA, not GTA, GT7. We should get that
Yeah,
GT7 session because we both got wheel and pedals. We can
yeah,
have at it round Brands Hatch or something. That would be good.
yeah.
Right.
Um,
Well, I think it's probably time to take a break, isn't it, Mr. Tech?
I think it is.
Take a quick break, and then when we come back, we can talk a little bit more about subscription services because, because I've got something to talk about subscription services. All right.
All right.
All right. We're back.
We're back.
We're back. We're always back. Yeah, subscription services. So the end of an era looms for Mr. Tech because Xbox Game Pass for me in less than 30 days now is going to be Xbox Game You Shall Not Pass.
Oh.
It's expiring, and I've made the tough decision to let it expire. So yeah, I've had it for, I can't remember how long I had it. When I bought it, I stacked it up using one of those sneaky methods of buying key cards and things, and whatever it was. I think you can't do it now. But it meant, I think at the time I had like, it might even been 2 years worth of it or something. And that time has flown by. So now I'm there with basically a month left, and I'm suddenly thinking, well, there's no point me playing this game, is there? Because I'm not going to finish it in a month, and I'm just going to start wasting my time. So I'm desperately trying to see if I can finish Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
It's a catchy title.
That's a catchy one, isn't it? I think I don't even know what Claire Obscure means yet. I haven't got that far. Cracking modern turn-based RPG. I'm absolutely loving it. It's surprisingly got a presentation and a story and whatnot that I find actually genuinely engaging, and well performed. Normally, you kind of abide the story in all these AAA things, and this one is genuinely great. And it dropped on Game Pass the same week that the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake dropped. Which I also started playing, thinking, "Oh, this is this kind of thing I love as well." But yeah, I mean, I can't finish both of these in a month. I probably won't even finish one of them. So I've got this very tough decision now. Do I plow this time in
Mhm.
and not finish it? What do I do if I'm really into it? And am I going to have to buy the game standalone? And if I do, will I suppose I'd just buy it on Xbox and keep playing it on Xbox because I like it enough that I'm thinking I want to see this one through. But
Yeah.
maybe a month of intense gaming, I can try and get through it, and that will be the end of my Game Pass. I'm gonna let it stop. I think I've got 2 games that I own outright on my Xbox. I've got Ace Combat 7 or 6 or whatever, and I've got one of the Forzas. I think that's it. So
Right.
my options for choice are gonna suddenly come down, and in some ways I'm quite looking forward to it. Because there'll be one less machine with new stuff constantly dropping. It's like, "Oh, you wanna play this now?"
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. My Xbox has had it now. I don't know how much I'm gonna use it for if I'm not Game Passing.
That is an end of an era then.
Potentially, yeah. I'm gonna treat this, although thinking about it now, this is about the same time as the Switch 2 arrives, so one console will depart on June the 5th, and another one will come through the door. But I will only have one game on that,
You will only have
and
Mario Kart.
I'm not buying any more.
Yeah.
Touch wood, promise. So it is still a minor end of an era. So yeah, that was my subscription service news as a subscriber, soon to be no more subscriber of Game Pass. I still have my PlayStation Plus, but I'm also going to let that drop down a tier when that expires at the end of the year. I think getting older, you need to take the advice of Grandad and limit your options, because otherwise you will sit there in procrastination hell and not play anything and miss out really. So, but this is going to be interesting. I'm quite excited actually.
Yeah, and that's why I say I always I've dipped my toe in both, and like I say, it was a classic example of what happened with PS Plus because you get really excited. You go, yeah, new console, new old console for me because I didn't get the PS5 until way later. Get the PS Plus package, and then yeah, literally, yeah, just play one game for barely 10 minutes. It's overload, isn't it? And we both do it, and not just us, but yeah, there is something about that limiting of choice sometimes so that you don't procrastinate too much. And yeah, whenever I've gone into subscriptions, more than just a month, it never works for me. It never, I start off strong, not even strong in this case. This is the worst example of a subscription I have ever done. It was just abysmal, literally 10, 12 minutes, that's it, 8 quid.
So tell me, Grandad, you're often to be found out in the wilds hunting down retro gear, as you mentioned in the past. Have you had any finds lately? How's it been going? It's summer. There must be loads of people out selling stuff.
Yeah, there is indeed. It's been, yeah, quite an incredible last few weeks really for retro. Yeah, for any of our kind of, handful of growing listeners, yes, I do get to a local car boot sale now and again. Um, Retro is quite interesting in the world of car boots because obviously people are a lot more aware of prices these days. You've got people like, shops like CX, you've got eBay, so it's not always easy to find retro. It's gone very much, yeah, into the stratosphere. But yeah, I picked up a number of consoles. Very interestingly, something that I've always been quite curious about and wanting to get hold of. I did pick up, I don't know if this classes as retro really, but I did manage to pick up a PlayStation VR headset. That was one find. Um, I did find also a Commodore 64 mini console, which I know you've got a particular love for in terms of machine.
Is that the one with the working keyboard, or is that the one that's
Oh,
like a shell?
no.
Is
Yeah,
it's a shell.
yeah. It's the shell one.
Yeah.
Um, but again, a very, I mean, I think they retail at about 70 or 80 pounds, but it was a bargain price of 15 pounds, so you can't pass that up.
Well, you can't pass it up.
I can't.
Well, actually, I probably wouldn't have passed it up as well. I probably would have snaffled that.
Yeah.
You wish you had. There is one with a keyboard, isn't there? There's one with a
They
working.
have also made I think it's a maxi version, which does have a working keyboard. But like a lot of these mini devices, they're built with, inbuilt games. So it's got the clever, catchy marketing of 64 games built in.
Oh. How did you pick that number?
Yeah. But also you can just side load it and put additional ROMs through a USB stick. They make it very easy. They encourage that.
Oh, cool.
Quite interesting. Uh, but as you can imagine, I've loaded it up with thousands of games and barely touched it. But it is there ready for when I wish to kind of go down that kind of rabbit hole of C64 gaming.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah, I mean that's just, yeah, a couple.
Sorry, how are you getting on with the PlayStation VR? Because you've had you've had some experience with VR games before, haven't you? So this isn't the first dip into VR for you, no?
It's not, no, and, I have got an Oculus Quest headset, and, I say never owned a PlayStation VR headset, but I tell you what on earth is going on with all these cables and all these wires? Because I am not joking, and I am Grandad, and I've no shame to admit it. It took me over an hour
What?
to work out how on earth to rig this thing up because I mean, it all came in a bundle, which, it was all kind of wires everywhere. It was missing a couple of basic wires that I needed to find up in the loft. Um, but what a palaver. I mean, uh, how on earth you do a kind of walk around VR experience with all that strapped to you and wired up is, I've no idea.
Yeah, you don't really. Yeah, it is a faff because I remember now the PSVR one has a what do they call it? They call it a something. It's like a second unit, isn't it?
It's like another box that you have to plug it into, and then that also
Yeah.
plugs into the
That's
PS4 and
Yeah, that
yeah.
box is doing some of the heavy lifting, I think, or it's yeah, it's not powerful enough to do it all itself. So you've got this side little box, and yeah, you plug that into the headset, and then that goes into the console, and you've got to then get around the back and swap the HDMI's. And I mean, I still have mine, but I obviously don't use it. And I remember having this issue with how can I have this kind of ready to go
Mm,
and also just play normal PlayStation because you had to pop one out of the
yeah, yeah.
box, a little box, and back into the. Um, Having said that, PlayStation One VR, my first VR experience, um, did give me quite a bit of joy. I wonder if you've played Rush of Blood, Until Dawn, Rush of Blood.
No, no.
this is the game you need to play. No hyperbole here. I would say that gave me one of the best gaming experiences of my life because it was first real home VR that was good. And this game is like a twin gun shooter, like an on-rail shooter, but with the gimmick that you're riding a roller coaster. Now I know you're a big roller coaster fan.
Mm.
Mr. Tech, no roller coaster fan. Mr. Tech, no roller coast.
Yeah.
You're roller coasters.
Yeah.
Genuinely, when I started playing this game, the first few minutes of level 1, loving it, shooting monsters popping up as you're hooting around nice and slow on this roller coaster. And then it got to this point on the first stage where it starts cranking you up an incline, as roller coasters do. And it wasn't even that tall. I think there's much worse later in the game.
Yeah.
And then it puts you at the top, and then obviously you tips you over, and then you careen around a bit. And I was physically feeling it. Like I don't want to do this, but I overcame it, and I remember this so clearly, which is why it's such a lasting memory. Because I had to sort of mentally let go and give into the roller coaster. Now I know it's only a virtual roller coaster, but I wonder if this is the same as a real roller coaster. You can deny this or not. Is that if you fight it, it's horrible, and you don't want to do it. But I kind of nestled my back into the back of the couch to remind my brain that I was physically just
Yeah.
sitting down. And then when I did that, from there on, bloody loved it. And I was like, yeah, give me another fast bit. And that game is about, yeah, suddenly fast swooshing around, trying to pick off targets as you go quick. And then it will slow you down and go through like a haunted house type scenario where it's very staged. But um, yeah, if anyone's got PSVR 1, which you have now, you owe it to yourself to play Until Dawn Rush of Blood. Really good. Nice, not too long. You can do it in a few hours, which is what I'd recommend. And it really ramps up at the end. So by the end, you're on a roller coaster and you're going through like this hellscape, and massive demons are like looming over you. And yeah, awesome. Sadly, the sequel, by all accounts, was crap.
No.
Yeah.
No, that does sound good, and that's the thing now. So now I'm going to be on a quest to find the odd PSVR title, but yeah, it's not exactly slick, is it, in its setup? But I mean, once it was all done and I was sat in a chair, not really moving, yeah, it was quite a good experience because I've got no games with it. I think is it there's a playroom thing, so there's lots of different things to
Yep.
get involved in, and
Played.
that was yeah, yeah.
Also great, yeah, that's the VR version of the Astrobot little demo
Mm.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that they owe it to themselves to do a full Astrobot in VR. I'm surprised they didn't make the recent Astrobot game on PlayStation 5 also VR compatible. That was a bit of a disappointment because that's great fun in VR. That's yeah, it's superb stuff. So you've got that. You seem like you pick up any game thing that's is this correct? You just grab everything? Is Grandad
Well, it does seem to be at the minute. Yeah, yeah. It's not normally like that. I don't know what's happened this last month, but I say that was just the start of it. So I also managed to pick up a boxed Nintendo Wii U. We had a PlayStation 3, the newer sort.
Well, we mentioned it last week. You can play Xenoblade Chronicles X on that, just for,
Oh, great. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That'll be the first thing I get for it, of course. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, but it's not the norm. So anyone listening, I mean, yeah, car boot sales can be fantastic for picking up old retro stuff, but it's very unusual to get that quantity of older type consoles at a very reasonable price. But yeah, there's been quite a mix of consoles. And even today, so bring it right up today, um, I did manage to get hold of I mean, of course, I've already got one, but a secondary uh, Xbox One S that bizarrely came complete with a telly and about 6 pads,
Wow.
uh, and a whole host of games which are absolutely terrible, but they need to be traded in at CEX pronto. But
When you say terrible, are we talking like universally terrible or just not your cup of tea?
no, we're talking, well, we're talking FIFAs, we're talking very old wrestling games,
Oh,
yeah, we're
wrestling games and FIFAs. The old
not very good.
Call of Duty in there, maybe?
Oh, there was a Call of Duty,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and there was not very great driving games, which I've never really heard of.
Mm.
But yeah, quite unusual to get quite a lot of systems in a very short space of time. I must have just hit quite lucky in these kind of picks and finds.
As you said then, this isn't are you are you doing a lot of boot sailing to land these? Because it seems to me that every time you every Saturday you just show like 6 or 7 consoles that you got, and I'm thinking, "Well, I should get my ass out there." Is this
Yeah.
I mean, how much can one expect to reasonably find if you just go out and you want some retro games
There's
stuff?
always a lot. Yeah, there's always quite a good, I mean, I will be going one or two, usually once or twice a week. So sometimes the Saturday ones, sometimes the Sunday. So I suppose if you factor in, I would have been eight, yeah, at least 8, 9 times, in a month, depending on, yeah, the length of the month. There's always a good spread of generally newer games. So you've always got your Xbox One, your PS4s, very rarely PS5s, a lot of PS3 stuff, never really any 8-bit or 16-bit. And some consoles, but people usually want an awful lot of money for them. Very unusual, I would say, in my experience, to see mini consoles like Commodore 64s, because a lot of people just keep hold of them, or they'll either trade them and put them on eBay. You often get stacks of broken PlayStation 3s, Xboxes in huge towers that look in various states of disrepair. Um, but sometimes you just do get lucky. But yeah, I would say if anyone is interested in going to one, never base it on just one or two trips, because you might absolutely just find a stack of FIFAs, stack of Call of Duties. Generally, that seems to be the norm. But yeah, just lately, I have got quite a number of consoles and systems at very reasonable prices, way under CEX prices. You still got to pay a little bit, but I think I got, a boxed Wii U for £30 it was. Works perfectly.
Mm.
As I say, the C64 Mini was 15 quid, and I picked up a PlayStation 3 with 20 odd games and like 5 pads for 60 quid. Reasonable, not giving it away, but also not horrendously
Mm.
expensive.
Yeah. Is it interesting that the era of consoles turning up that you're describing, I mean, PlayStation 3 is quite old now, but yeah, we use Xboxes. Um, it's not retro, which most people probably are a little bit more wise to the value of, but certainly it can't be many years until boot sales are heaving with used PS4s. This
Mm,
is my prediction because PS4 sold an absolute ton of machines,
yeah, yeah.
um, but it's not that old yet. It's still supported, um, pretty much. I'm pretty sure that's right. Oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, games. Yeah, a lot of PlayStations
Um,
still play on forward, I think. Yeah. Um, But yeah, it's not. I don't think it's many years off that a PS4 is now going to look. Just it's going to be one of those things in people's houses where they're like, "Yeah, I'm done with that. I've played. We played Call of Duty on it, and we played maybe one of the Uncharted's. Uh, should we get rid of that?" So
Thing like
yeah, PS4s interesting, and who knows how many years it'll be before Switches, the amount of Switches that were sold,
well, that's the other thing. Yeah,
a nominal amount of Switches sold, and they can't all. There will come a time when they're useless trinkets, and there will be flood in the boot sales. I reckon.
it's a very good predictor of what's going on in the market, and I did a yeah, not that long ago actually, but I have picked up a Nintendo Switch in the past from a car boot. Again, quite rare, but it's a very good predictor of what's happening with the retro gaming scene, the retro market, like you say. Xbox 360s 10 a penny, PS3s generally. You don't see many PS4s. They trickle through, but yeah, all of a sudden there'll be that shift and you'll start seeing that come in. So it's quite a good indicator of what is going on, yeah, in terms of those secondary markets, definitely.
The most exciting one for me out of all of those that you described is probably the Wii U because that's a machine I never bought.
Mm,
I had a Wii, for whatever reason, I don't know why. Wii U escaped me, and I mean, Wii U was relatively a flop, wasn't it?
yeah.
But its special design gimmick of the second screen thing, I feel like that's something that could hold quite a lot of appeal for future retro enthusiasts because some of the games that supported that, you really I mean, you can emulate it, can't you, with a second little thing, but the experience of doing that on the original Wii U for some games that actually properly implemented it, that's probably quite a novel feature. I mean, in the future, the Switch 2 is, I mean, I'm I'm dissing it before it arrives. I shouldn't do this. This is dangerous. But there's nothing special about it now, is there? It's just a machine that plays games. There is no gimmick. There's no. You might pick up a Wii and in 2055 and play Wii bowling and go, oh, look what the primitive man did, waving their arms around. But in 2070, no one's going to play a Switch game and go, oh, look how oh no, it's just another console now, Nintendo, really, isn't it? We'll see. It looks like it's just another machine.
The interesting thing as well with the Wii U is that there is quite a spread of games that are quite cheap still to pick up. And again, I think that possibly might shift. I mean, you can get Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U for about £4 or £5 from a local CEX. Even, there's quite a handful of quite AAA titles that you can get under £10. It's not a very large game library. There's obviously the odd spike of games that are worth quite a lot, but it's that prediction of, yeah, when is that ever gonna change? Is it gonna start getting into the £100, games arena? It's not a bad console to collect for on a good budget. You're not gonna break the bank to get a nice selection, yeah, for it.
Cool, exciting days. Well, presumably you are going to find some time to actually play some games and all this stuff, and
Well,
not just buy
yeah.
machines for the sake of it. So when you've got through a few of them, I look forward to hearing about your discoveries. You've got to play that coaster game. That's going to be
I will. Yeah,
your theme park. That is.
I will try and track that down. I do like tracking down, to say, physical media. And not that long ago, yeah, I went on a bit of a retro gaming hunt to actual physical shops. And again, a very good predictor of what's going on in retro. Um, a lot of these shops, half the things didn't have prices on because prices changed so much that they were almost having to kind of check themselves what they roughly went for. So they give you a price or, they were very open to haggling, but that just shows you how the retro market is really sometimes moving on a weekly, if not monthly basis sometimes because Super Nintendo games now can change hands in good condition and boxed hundreds of pounds. The scarcity is getting more and more, isn't it? So, but yeah, I did take myself off with a good friend of ours. Went round some of these stores. It really did bring you right back to the 90s of how old game shops were. I mean, we're talking stacks of videos everywhere, CDs, old classic games, cabinets everywhere, old gaming magazines,
Ooh.
things like that. And you kind of just had, if anyone is going to go, you've got to have a really good idea of what kind of games are worth and what you're after, because, as I say, a lot of them just weren't priced. So they were fair though, they didn't rip me off, but um, really nice to see all these shops cropping up and it's becoming more and more. I mean, these were Birmingham, West Midlands based, but in every major city now, there's a lot of these secondhand gaming shops cropping up. And as we know, retro is just going through the roof in terms of value. But I do love a nice physical gaming hunt, and like you said, digital has its place, but there's nothing that can beat digging through a load of old videotapes and finding a random Dreamcast game and haggling the price with the owner. That for me is still quite a lot of fun.
Any shout outs you want to give to this particular store? What was it? This
There's one, so yeah, there's one place called Entertainment World, um, and there was also another one called Vintage Gamer, which is Hales Owen based, and Game Smart, which is again Birmingham Way and Yardley. Um, all excellent, all very well stocked with a whole variety of vintage games from, as I say, I picked up a few PlayStation 3 games, Dreamcast game. They've got everything, but they're really friendly. They know their stuff, but you can spend a good amount of time in there. So that was, yeah, quite a few of the shops that we went to. And I tell you what, another thing that is cropping up more and more are these kind of gaming arcade bars, uh, where you can either pay a fee, you can go to one of these bars, and this one in particular in Birmingham is called the NQ64 Arcade Bar. You can either pay to book your table or pay to just get in. If you pay to get in, you get thrust a little cup of pre-made tokens.
Mhm.
The tokens work in real arcade machines that they've got at the venue.
Oh wow.
So again, that feeling of putting money in an actual arcade machine. And then they had a string of consoles like PlayStation, GameCube. I don't know about the legalities of how they get around games because a lot of them were running ROMs because they had menus and you could select many of the games on that system. But done very well. If you pay your entry, you also get two tokens, which you can have a couple of drinks with those, token per drink. 20 coins that got you, let's say, equivalent of, yeah, credits really. Some were 2 credits, some were 1 credit. You could get around most of the arcade games there. Um, I'm not sure you'd spend, many, many hours there, but I think we spent a couple of hours there, had a couple of drinks, but really good if you want to dip your toe into that kind of, classic gaming from an arcade perspective, but also console based. Obviously, when you've got a lot of these consoles, it's quite unusual to pay money to go and
Mm.
sit play the consoles that you've got.
Yeah.
Um, but there were a lot of arcade machines there. There was classic arcade machines. They had Simpsons arcade game. They had Terminator 2 with the guns,
Oh, cool.
Point Blank with the guns, and they had Outrun 2 cabinet 2-player. So
Mm.
things like that you're not going to experience in your own home unless you've got rather a lot of money.
Yeah, no, that does sound good. Interesting to imagine. Obviously, there's a finite amount of all these old original arcade games
Yeah.
out there now in the world, and where they're all collected and who's got them, and some of them are undoubtedly in these bars and venues, and you're going to have private collectors and owners with some.
Mm,
It's it's an interesting concept, isn't it? That the ability to go and play Operation Wolf or
mm.
um, what's the helicopter one? One of my favorites. Thunderblade? Is it Thunderblade?
It's fun to play with a huge cabinet when you're sat.
Yeah, you actually have the helicopter controls with the collector
Yeah,
and the stick. Yeah, sounds great. I must try and join you on one of these excursions in the future. I'll be well up for
man, good.
I'll be well up for that.
But again, but becoming much more popular. Again, they're cropping up everywhere, and like you say, finite machines. I mean, there's some arcade clubs, like there's one in Bury, which is fantastic. There's multi-floored. There's hundreds of arcade cabinets. But yeah, it's really nice to see that people out there are preserving them and people are able to get that experience to go and either relive, like for ourselves, or maybe experience arcades that they've never experienced. It might be the first time someone has even been introduced to an arcade machine. Um, but yeah, yeah, very interesting place.
Excellent. Sounds good. Recommend everyone take a visit. Right. Well, let's take another quick break. And when we come back, I think we've just got time for some industry news, like a real podcast. Let's do some industry news. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that sounds intriguing.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see what we've got. I've got some news stories I want to talk about. And we're back.
We're back.
We're back. So yeah, industry news. Obviously, we don't really cover industry news on the Grandad and Mr Tech podcast because everyone covers industry news and it's pretty boring, isn't it? Really, let's face it. But I did see a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about. The main one was the fact that I saw announced they're making a movie based on the Outrun game, as in the car racing game. Going to be directed by Michael Bay and starring Sydney Sweeney, or she's a producer, I think it is, which is
Right.
kind of strange. So yeah, what do you make of that? An Outrun arcade game movie. What's that going to be like?
Yeah, I knew nothing about that. I mean, Michael Bay can divide uh, people, granted, but um, that's quite an interesting concept for a movie. Uh, I wonder if they're just going to be, yeah. So it's just going to be, yeah, the guy, the girl, just driving through 6 stages and cars blowing up and street.
Yeah, who knows? Like, is this gonna be a kind of Fast and the Furious demographic
I wonder,
type
yeah.
of, or is it? I mean, just who knows, really? Like, what the hell is it gonna be? Like,
Or is it just gonna be trading off that name and, like you say, gonna be like a generic kind of, uh, car movie? But it's quite interesting that they've obviously got I presume they've got the license then. Is it literally called Outrun the movie?
I don't know if it's
Outrun.
been
Yeah.
officially announced as a title. It's
Mm.
or no, I don't have that detail. It sounds like it's a movie about Outrun, whether it will be called Outrun
Okay.
or whatever. It's just a fascinating addition to the pantheon of video game based movies.
Yeah, yeah.
One that I wouldn't have seen coming. Um, I mean, I would quite like to see, as would many people, I guess, the iconic image of the start of the Outrun level
Mhm.
when you're ready to go and you've got the car there and there's all the crowds and you've got the start banner and
Yeah.
tropical, not tropical sound wave, tropical.
Oh, you've got to have the remixes of all those tracks in there.
Yeah, a magical sound shower when
Yeah.
you're. I can imagine lots of video game fan pleasing scenes of someone's hand on the radio dial choosing a tune, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
apart from that kind of crowd pleasing bollocks that you could easily put in. That's something that's going to take up 2 minutes. So what the rest of the film is going to be like, I don't know, but we will find out. We will. We'll have to remind ourselves to ask our friends on the Caliber 9 from Outer Space movie podcast team if we ever meet them in the future for reasons. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I can ask them about that as a movie video game, can't we? Yeah.
It is interesting because it's that movie execs are plundering a lot more gaming properties, aren't they? I mean, we had the Tetris movie not that long ago, but I quite enjoyed that. Have you seen that?
I haven't, no, but you're very on point there, really, given that the Minecraft movie, as we speak, has been making an absolute shed load of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and you do feel like in a slowly dwindling movie business, trying to find some way to get young people into cinemas and to make memes about it. The Minecraft movie is doing just that. So you'd imagine that the imagination poor execs are looking at Minecraft now going, okay, we need to do one of them. What games can we do? What
Yeah.
I don't think Outrun is the one, but who knows?
Yeah, that wouldn't be my first choice, but yeah. Ah,
Uh, we'll see. I'm sure there'll be an Elden Ring movie one of these days.
very young. Yeah. Bound to be.
So my other piece of gaming news, which everyone will be talking about, yesterday at least, I'll briefly mention is I saw Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed to May 2026.
Oh, another year.
Another year. Another year, everyone's going to shit their pants because they can't play the latest GTA game. Still haven't finished GTA 5 at the time of recording.
This is what I was going to ask you. Do you ever finish a Grand Theft Auto game? Really?
Well, I don't. I've never finished one. I'd quite like to finish 5, but I guess what you're implying is the fact that these games, you can just piss around in them for forever. I'm not particularly bothered about GTA 6. I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, back in the day, yeah, when 5 came out to quite a big fanfare, when when 5 came out with quite a big fanfare, yeah, I did get caught up in all that. I think I got it when it came out. I think I was playing it on PS3. Um, Again, yeah, incredible. I did a few missions, thought this is all right. Stopped playing it for a bit, came back, forgot really what I was doing, lost the thread of everything, worked out how to get to the airport, jump in a plane and just fly around the amazing kind of landscape.
That
Crashed
yeah.
in, yeah, crashed the plane a few times, and yeah, I can't argue that but stunning in and in terms of how it's designed. But yeah, I've never really got really into it that I've plugged lots and lots of hours. Whenever I have, it's been a very quick jump in, muck about for a bit, burn a few cars around, yeah, jump around into the, yeah, what can I fly? What can I crash? So, I mean, I have heard rumors as well. GTA 6 is going to possibly be the first £100 game.
Yeah, this is why it's an interesting game because I feel it represents such a looming landmark milestone. And I don't really know what I mean by that. I can just sense that this game coming out is one of these once a decade events now, and it being
Yeah.
pushed back another year. It'll either be the end of civilization or the end of the gaming industry, or something's gonna. Things will never be the same after GTA 6, and I don't exactly know why. I don't even know what I mean by that, but I can just feel it that it's going to be huge, but what's it going to mean
Mm,
for everyone? It's fascinating because it will by all accounts be, well, you imagine it will be the biggest, most ambitious thing ever, and yeah, it could be 100 quid, which would be a landmark. And what does that mean? And who knows? Like,
but then also, I wonder, have we all moved on by then? I mean, or will it be the big game that everyone hopes it to be? I don't know, because again, I'm not really in that kind of ecosphere that I'm that excited about it. But then it's been so long. Is the market still there? Yes, it's going to be a lot nicer. It's going to be a lot more graphically impressive. It'll do more, but it's still going to be GTA. It's still going to be jumping into cars, flying things, doing missions.
so I guess we'll find out what GTA 6 turns out to be or not to be in about a year's time, which is exciting because the Grandad and Mr Tech podcast will have passed its 1 year anniversary by then. Um,
Yeah, 1 year.
I'm making a mental note to revisit this topic and see whether my predictions were correct, which they will be correct because they were so vague, no one could really accuse them of being incorrect. Right, before we wrap up then, Grandad, and go about our business on this fine, warm Saturday evening, have you been playing anything interesting you want to mention? I haven't really. Well, I've been playing these Xbox Game Pass things before my thing runs out, and I've already mentioned Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Catchy titled. Yeah.
That's all. So I won't go any more into that. Go and look it up, folks. If you've got Game Pass, cracking. What have you got anything interesting you've been playing you want to mention?
I have been playing one game, but again, I think it's a bit of a hidden gem that I'd kind of uncovered on my quest of PlayStation 3 3D games. I hit across, this is part of the retro game hunt. It's a game called Motorstorm Apocalypse. Now, Motorstorm is a series of games that I wasn't even aware of. There's three, I think, in this series, and I always judge or tend to judge a hidden gem and a good game is when I can play something for more than 10 minutes. And I kid you not, Mr. Tech, this game, I was stuck to it for a good hour and a half. It had that just one more. It wasn't just the 3D that was driving that, but again, this game has got, if anyone's got the setup and able to still play PlayStation 3 3D games, the 3D on this was incredible. Uh, Good racing game. Whether you need that 3D or not to kind of lift that, but it's carnage. You were driving through rubble, things were exploding, bikes were whizzing all over the place. It's very arcadey feel. As I say, the 3D bits that, so you're getting bits of shrapnel and all sorts of things flying at you. Um, Really good fun. And every time it said, you've done a race, next race, I just kept hitting that button. Hour and a half. That, in my books, is a hidden gem. If a game can take my attention for more than 10, 15 minutes in our busy lifestyles, that's doing something. I've got the other games in the series, not played them yet, so it will be interesting to see in non 3D terms if they're still, arguably good fun racing games that, they don't need that 3D, but the 3D just helped elevate everything that was going on for me. Um, Really, really good fun. Yeah. It's not Gran Turismo, it's not about simulation. This is a pick up and play, get right stuck into it, just razz a load of vehicles around. You're on bikes, you're on buggies, you're on 4 by 4s, you're on all sorts of uh random kind of vehicles. But yeah, fantastic fun. And that's literally the main game I've been playing. But yeah, just thought I'd give that a bit of a shout out.
Very good. Sounds good. I'm having a little look here at the who made this. Evolution Studios Limited. Shout out. Um, I hadn't heard of this group. They're British, from Cheshire. And yeah, they developed these 3 MotorStorm games, which, if you believe the Wikipedia page, you're playing the worst of them, MotorStorm Apocalypse, but they're all pretty highly rated.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
went on to make Drive Club, which I recognise from PS4. Um, and then it looks like the dev team actually went and joined Codemasters, which would make sense because they have a hand in quite a lot of racing games, don't they? Rad
Mhm.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. I hadn't heard of the series. It looks a lot of fun from what I've looked at it. I can see exactly why that's your type of game. Uh,
Yeah. Simple. Simple and fun and, yeah, not requiring hundreds of hours. Yeah, yeah.
I do quite fancy experiencing something like this in 3D. This is something I've never done, and I can't imagine how that is. You remind me, you need do you need a 3D TV for this, or just a pair of?
TV projector. So I'm running it through a 3D projector. Yeah, so you need something to decode.
Or a 3D TV?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then a pair of 3D, like a what, like
And a pair of glasses.
the modern style, or like the red and blue type?
I don't know, it's yeah, modern style, active shutter. I think you can have the other sort, but yeah, it's not the old red or blue kind of, yeah, really cheap cardboard flimsy ones. Yeah, no, it's doing a lot of very clever stuff. But yeah, I'm running it through a 3D projector through a PlayStation. Yeah, and it just outputs. Yeah, really really interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to have a try of this. I'd certainly love to try it in 3D. I'm not gonna have the means of doing that anytime soon, but if I'm ever in your neck of the woods, yeah, give me a go on that. So, well, it looks like respectively we've been quite successful in our gameplay in the last few weeks. And you've played an hour of something. Was it an hour?
Ma- I think I got up to almost an hour and a half. It's so bad is I can kind of count because I with all this stuff, with all this choice, yeah, I don't get as many hours as I would like to play all this, but yeah, we are. I've definitely clocked about a good hour and a half on that game.
So you've clocked an hour and a half as someone that plays games in short bursts, and I think I've racked up. I think I'm in the region of about 12, 13 hours on this RPG. So I think with that's a pretty successful.
Yeah, that's a success, I would say.
Yeah, that's what that's what shows we're real gamers. I think we've nailed it once again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to go and play some games. Oh, except the snooker's on. I'm going to watch the snooker.
Ah, okay. You could play a snooker game.
I could play a snooker game. Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker. Now there's a snooker game.
That is a snooker game.
That was great. Do you remember the sound of you chalking the cue in that game?
I do, very much so.
It
There's lots.
sounded like someone chalking a cue. But the fact that you could press a button to chalk your cue every time and you heard it go,
Yeah, yeah.
great. That was a great game. That really was a great game. I played that quite a bit. For some reason, I love snooker. I'm not really drawn to play snooker video games much more. I don't know why. Maybe, I've had an idea. Maybe I should go and play Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker on some emulation device.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That'd be a thing. Maybe. I think what I don't like about modern snooker games is that they kind of force you to play as a real snooker player. And I've got nothing against snooker players. They're all lovely chaps. But if I'm playing a snooker game on a computer, I don't really want to play as.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just want to play a game of snooker. I don't want to pretend to be,
yeah.
you know.
You're right, and a lot of the older ones, you could at least put your own name in, and then the modern ones, you can't. You literally have to be a professional snooker player.
Yeah, this
Ex
is not right. This is not right.
Yeah.
Right, I have a mission. I'm gonna see if I can play White's Whirlwind Snooker on something. I don't know what I'm gonna play it on. Maybe I'll even emulate the PC DOS version, which is what I would have played back in the day. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Right. It's a wrap. I think we're done for an episode, for this episode of the
It is.
podcast.
I've been Grandad, and you've been,
I've been Mr Tech, and
yeah. We will see you again next time.
we will.